Hello, hilary.Hraefn.Porter here. Full spectrum healer and Tamiana Starseed Oracle. If you don't know me, I want to talk a little bit about safe space and brave space. I've been wanting to talk about this for a little while. I actually went back I was like, oh yeah, I'll totally, with a client, I was like, I'll link you to this video that I did. Because apparently in my mind I'd already recorded this video. I think it's just been on my video list for so long that I assumed I had done it. And I want to talk about it because it's something I use a lot with my clients. It's something I recommend a lot with my clients. I work on how to use it to, I don't want to say accelerate growth, to support growth, to help people, to help you step into those experiences that feel a little uncomfortable, but that's where you grow, right? So the basis of this, the original inspiration for the extension where it has ended up evolving into, comes from a workshop that I did over 7 years ago, I don't know, it was a while ago, with Mel Cassidy. She's wonderful, and she does a lot in regards to ethical non-monogamy. And she has I think it's called the Monogamy Detox Program. Anyway, she's a wonderful human being. She knows her stuff. If you're ever looking for information about that kind of thing, working in the non-monogamy realm, or trying out the non-monogamy realm, or, excuse me, you are in the non-monogamy realm and it's not really, there's some glitches happening, reach out to her. So, what is safe space and what is brave space? Safe space is the space where we feel cozy. It feels so comfortable. We just snuggle in, we cocoon, and it just feels so good there, right? We don't even want to leave. Brave space is where we feel empowered, we feel strong, we see growth, and it's a bit uncomfortable. Yeah? The thing is with safe space, even though it's super comfortable, it can get very stagnant. You don't really grow there, right? It's kind of like rinse and repeat. Well, I know this blanket's cozy, I know this pattern, I know what to do. And our brain can get bored in there, right? And we want to grow. There's something to do with being, and there's something to do with integrating. But through new experiences and through trying those things that are a little bit uncomfortable, we learn more about ourselves. Yeah? Okay. So let's say safe space is in the middle here, right? Safe space. Then we have brave space. Let's say it's about that far from safe space. It goes out to here, right? This is when I want my whiteboard. So we got safe space, brave space, and then there's what's beyond the brave space, which is the space if we jump too fast to that space, and it's different for everyone. All of this is different for everybody, right? If we jump too fast to that space outside of the brave space, it can be so uncomfortable that it actually is detrimental, right? Because it's so far out of the comfort zone, it tweaks the brain a little bit. And you're just I can't. It's too much, too fast. Yeah? So it's knowing where these edges are for you. The thing is, your safe space and your brave space aren't always going to be the same size. Have you been sleeping well? Have you been eating nourishing food? How are the stress levels and stress activities in your body? Because when we feel less stress reactions in our body, when we're experiencing less stress reactions, we feel safer, we feel more confident, we have more spoons. If you don't know spoon theory, look it up. But spoons are our energy levels. And if we don't have these energy levels, we don't have the capacity to do these things that take those energy levels, which, when we step into the brave space, take a little bit more. I'm recognizing. So I came out here because it's raining out, and I was like, it'll be so lovely. And now I'm recognizing that I just want to zone out to the rain. I don't know if you can hear it, but it's absolutely pouring, right? Which is interesting. So the rain, for me, is one of my safe space sensations. So what is encompassed within the safe space? So the safe space is anything that helps you feel safe. I know that's a deep, deep definition. So anything that helps you feel comfortable, You breathe easier, you feel grounded, you feel any of those edges smoothed. So we want to look at things like texture, right? I am all about soft stuff, right? Like stuffies and, stuffed animals. But texture, maybe the rougher textures soothe you. Maybe it's that super silky, smooth texture. So we want to look at texture. We want to look at sound. So we got all the senses, right? We got touch, we got hearing, so sound. Sometimes, so right now, the rain is soothing to me, but sometimes it can be agitating depending on where I am. Am I in a tent? Am I in a house? Is the rain on water? Is it on the roof? Like, we can get down to these major specifics, right? So we've got our sound. What kind of sounds are soothing to you? Is it music? Is it silence? Is it, what kind of music? Right? Okay, we got vision. Okay, now visual, or sight, isn't just I'm looking at the camera, or I'm looking, well, trees and nature, that's comforting for me, but it's also the light. What is the light texture? What color is the light? Oh my goodness, what? So we got colors, we've got light texture. What tastes feel safe to you? I mean, sweet is earth, is related to earth in traditional Chinese medicine, which is grounding, which is protecting. But if you have too much sweet, what happens? We feel agitated because we get this crazy sugar rush. Sour is super grounding, salty is down, bitter is down. So maybe those are the ones that feel safe to you. Maybe they feel safe to you in certain situations, but in other situations they don't. Okay, see where we're going here? We've got the surface stuff of like, oh yeah, I feel really comfortable when the lights are dimmed. That helps me feel safe. Unless it's this time of day, right? Like, so there's this like mind map, but don't get overwhelmed. It's okay. You start with the basics and then you learn as you go. Especially if you're a highly aware person, you'll notice that certain situations call for different things to help you feel safe. And brave. Same, okay? Also taste. Smell. What smell? I'm smelling the rain. That's so comforting to me. That's always comforting to me. That doesn't matter where I'm at, right? Just the smell, the freshness. Petrichor, that decomposing earth. It just smells so good. All these things. Now, maybe it's lavender, but maybe it's not lavender essential oil. Maybe it's lavender in the sachets, right? So there's all these different things. And what helps you feel safe? What seasons do you feel safer in? What time of day do you feel safer in? Maybe it's the time of the week you feel safer in. If you're of the feminine body and you have these hormone cycles going like this throughout the month, what time of month do you feel safer? Excuse me. So all these layers of what do you feel safe with? What help you feel safe? Now, then we have the brave space. And there's certain things that help us feel brave. And you can go through all these things again, right? We can go through all of our senses again. What touch invigorates you? Think of it as invigorating, helping you stand up tall, right? What touch invigorates you? What tastes invigorate you? What smells make you stand up and go, yeah, let's do this? Right? What sounds? So don't tell anybody. Excuse me. But I love power ballads. I love singing power ballads, I should say, right? Not a fan of We Are the Champions because of the old hockey games. I have this thing against it, but Rosie loves it. And when I sing it, I don't know, something about the tone of voice, right? Titanium by Sia. That was when I was going through an intense time a few years back, about a decade back. That was my power ballad. I would go to that song, I would belt it out, I would let it out, I would be like crying, but I'd be standing up and being strong and just like, yes! And then I'd be like, okay, I got this, I can do this. I have the ability to be brave in this moment. It would get me going. Yeah? So go through all the senses. What things help you feel that like empowerment? What clothing? I know we're talking about touch, but what clothing, what tangible and intangible items for both the safe space and the brave space? Yeah? And me without water, and I'm looking at all this water falling from the sky. So tangibles and intangibles for both. clothing. What clothing do you just feel like snugsy in? And a lot of times you can feel snugsy and confident, but then there's that outfit that you put on and you're like, yeah, I got this, you know? And also depending on where you're going, what are you doing? What's this brave experience you want to step into? You know, like, so the very first time I went to Burning Man, oh my goodness, it was a long time ago now. So I was 23 or 24. It was a couple decades ago. And that's when I was having the height of my panic attacks. That's when I was having the height of my the anxiety that I experienced. That was the height of it. And I was like, you know what? I need to just do something that takes me so far into, like, this was like edge of brave space. So safe space, brave space, this was like edge. But what things helped me feel safe in that? Tia, obasito, gobo, asitu. So I had all these things in place that helped me feel safe. Including being in touch with where I was staying, the camp that I was being with, making sure my mom had all the info, like all these things, right? But when I was going, the clothing, this is going back to clothing, the clothing that I took that helped me feel safe, or helped me feel safe and brave, we're going to talk about how those interrelate in a minute, would be different than when I was working at the bank. You know, I'm not going to go into a business meeting at the bank to help somebody with their mortgage wearing the almost nothing outfit that I'd be wearing at Burning Man. Or the faux fur coat that I was wearing at Burning Man. See what I'm saying? So there's also, you have your kit, but then you're like, okay, I had this experience and this is the thing I wish I had in there. Then you can add to your list. Okay, now how do we use safe space and brave space? So, you have the safe space things. Make a lovely little list. And the reason we like lists is that when we're in a moment of, oh my goodness, I don't know what to do, I feel really out of control, this feels really overwhelming, I need some safe space stuff, trying to remember those things in that moment isn't always conducive. But if we have the list, here are my tools. The only thing you have to remember in that state, whether it's, oh my God, I'm overwhelmed, or, oh, okay, I need to step into my brave space here, or I want to step into my brave space, the only thing you have to remember is go to the list. That's it. Then you go to the list and the stuff's already there. How awesome is that? I'm kind of the queen of sticky notes. I have the sticky notes everywhere. Cupboard doors, inside cupboard doors. Maybe you have a journal and you know to, like that you know where to go. Put it where you know where to go. So when we're stepping into the brave space stuff, we can prep ourselves. Allow ourselves to get comfortable. Through the safe space stuff, right? So you get comfortable. Maybe you're feeling a little anxious, a little nervous, maybe a bit shy, but you want to get comfortable, right? Like everything feels a little jostly. You're like, okay, I'm going to get comfortable. I'm going to draw from my safe space stuff and get comfy. Then you're like, okay, here I go. I'm going to step into the brave space. So for me, so we'll go back to the Burning Man example. Part of what helps me feel safe is having a list. When I have the list, I'm able to check off to make sure I have everything that I need. I'm a well-prepared person, let's put it that way, when I go places, except for this last couple of days on my little retreat. I forgot butter and salt. But that's okay. You can do without it, right? It's not the end of the world. But when I make these lists, for me, that helps me feel safe, because then it helps me know that I have everything that I need. Yeah. Okay. So make this list to go to Burning Man. Then I have the getting in touch with people and all of, like, making sure all that stuff's there. Then brave space is the stuff that helps you step into that brave space. Because safe space, if we just do only safe space stuff, we're like back here and we're like, hey, I'm in the safe space, I'm good, how's it going? But we want to go, hey, brave space, how you doing? Right? So grab a couple safe space things. I keep saying, there's a lot of safe and brave space. And then look at your brave space list and what helps me step over into that. So for me, music is a big thing. So I made this crazy awesome, at the time I had a tape deck in my truck. And so I made some awesome mixed tapes. Yeah? To power me up for the trip. I made sure I had these foods that nourished me and had me like, yeah, I feel good. Food often separates or straddles safe and brave space, right? Because you don't want to be like coffee makes me feel brave. No, coffee makes you feel energy, and that's different than brave. Brave brings you energy, but it's not the same as like jittered nervous system, right? Patito da basikuto ko. So see what I'm saying? You take a couple of safe space things, and then when you're like, okay, I'm heading into brave space, you go, what helps me feel brave now? What gives me that empowerment? What flavors, textures, sights, colors, times of year, blah, blah, blah. So if you're doing atito da basikuto, let's say, this is very dense reality, but let's say you're asking for a raise at work. Or you're asking for a shift at work, whatever that looks like. You're looking for a shift in your schedule, you're looking for a transformation in your raise, you want more responsibility, you want less responsibility, whatever that is, and it feels like you need some brave space. What time of week feels best for you? Is there a time of month that feels best for you? Do you feel empowered during the full moon cycle or during the new moon cycle? Is there a season? See what I'm saying? You're adding in these things. And then when you go to do it, bring something that feels safe, or prep yourself with something that feels safe, like an item of clothing. Or maybe you ate certain foods that day that just were super cozy and nourishing. And then you stepped into the brave space because of the cycle that you took, the time of day that you took. Maybe there's a smell that you're like, okay, before I'm going to do this, I'm going to smell this patito de essential oil. Yeah? Patito de sikitiko boko. Just looking at my list here. Patito de pasito. Now, so we talked about experiences and doing things outside. What about traveling? Right? So we're not always in our home space. We're going out during the day. We're going traveling to different places. Maybe we're flying somewhere. Make yourself a little travel kit that has safe space stuff and brave space stuff in it. What? How crazy, how awesome. It could have a music player, aka MP3 player. I always got a music player, MP3 player. That's just for the kit. It could have essential oils. You could have, hello birdie. You could have a stuffy. You could have material that feels soft. You could have earplugs, because maybe you feel safe without the sound. Maybe the crashing sound, so you want earplugs. Maybe you have little candies or hard candies or little bits of food that help you feel courage, right? Or help you feel cozy and safe. Because sometimes when our sugar drops, we feel unsafe. We can't feel brave, right? It's hard to feel brave. So we need that little bit of boost. So think of those things and place them in this little kit. It doesn't have to be big. You can go and get you can make it. Make a little baggie. You could just be a plastic baggie, really. It could be a Atito basico to go to the Value Village and pick up a little sachet. Atito ma. Yeah. Tinctures are something that are really supportive, I find. Atito so a tincture of chamomile to calm the nervous system. Skull cap for everybody. Really. Scoot lat. To help bring the nervous system in, help with the overwhelm. But I find tinctures, I love my potions, and so those are super helpful. But make yourself a little kit, and then that's with you wherever you are. The other way to use safe space and brave space is when you're doing inner work. Okay, so what do I mean by this? So one of the programs that I offer is called the Chakra Scrub. And then there's been other ones. So the Chakra Scrub, and then Metamorphosis, which is the Chakra Scrub but based on collective work as opposed to the independent. The Chakra Scrub itself is one-on-one solo work. And so through both of these programs, both of these soul immersives, there are inquiry questions, conscious inquiry questions that help us delve more into the layers within our foundational chakras, to get more aha moments, to get more clarity, to be able to make transformational shifts within ourselves, to be like, oh, that's the piece that I'm hung up on, or that's holding me stuck, or that's the piece that's too overpowering, and it's overshadowing everything else. One thing I noticed a lot is people would go through the questions for whatever plane of existence we were on, whatever chakra we were on. And then when we'd gather and be like, hey, what came up for you? Let's decode a little bit of this. They'd be like, well, I only picked the question. There was the questions that I gravitated towards, and then there was the ones that I didn't want to do. That didn't, either spark interest in me or made me like freeze up and I didn't want to do it. So the questions that were yes please were the safe space questions, are the safe space questions. The questions that are like, those are brave space. Yeah, there's going to be a little bit of growth in the safe space with these questions, but they're too easy. They're like, oh yeah, I got that, because they're not uncomfortable. And I'm not saying that all inquiry has to be uncomfortable, but we know that the majority, 99% of the time, when we're doing something that's going to create a shift within us, it feels uncomfortable. It's not comfortable when we first start because it's bringing up things. I just finished reading Living Untethered by Michael Singer over the last couple of weeks, and part of it is the samskaras, so these blocks. And when the energy is trying to go by these blocks, it feels like if we're looking at the river, the water hits the rock and then it has to go around, but it creates disturbance. And we feel that disturbance. It's like, this is uncomfortable. So we stuff it back down. But we want to step into our brave space. So when we're doing inquiry work, when we're doing inner work, do 1 or 2 safe space questions to feel, okay, here we go. I'm in the flow. And then do some brave space questions. And whatever that ratio looks like, maybe it's 2 safe space to 1 brave space. Maybe it's 1 and 2. Maybe it's 3 and 1. Maybe it's 3 and 3. Maybe it's 1 and 1. I don't know what that's going to look like for you because it's going to be different every time you do it. There's no hard and fast rule with any of this stuff. Like I said, safe space grows and shrinks depending on what's going on in life. More stress often means we need a little more safe space stuff. Less stress means we need less safe space, and then we can just dive into the brave space. We have that confidence, our Care Bear stare. Solar plexus. Care Bear stare is like there. So we can use that when we're doing inner work stuff, or maybe we're going into a breathwork journey that we're like, I have no idea what's going to happen. I know when I did Aya, when I sat with Aya and journeyed with her, they're like, bring what you need. Oh, I leaned into my safe space stuff hard that time because this was a major brave space. Again, this was a time of my higher anxiety levels that I was experiencing. I was like, okay, safe space. So I had my big teddy bear, I had the softest of my blankets, I had my favorite pillows. I had quite a bit of stuff. If you come in and everybody else is like, I got a couple things, and I'm like, I have all these things. Because these are the things that helped me feel safe at the time so that I could enter that brave space. So there's quite an overlap there. You see, like there's the this helps me feel safe because I'm doing this brave space thing as well. Maybe you don't have anything that's helping you step into it. You're just like, I'm stepping into that brave space because I know I am. And I'm going to bring some safe space stuff so that I feel comfortable doing that. Yeah, so I love this stuff. I love safe space, brave space. Consider that. All your senses, take them into account. Start a list. It doesn't have to be huge. Couple things for each side. A couple of things for each sense. Including cycles, times of year, times of week, times of month. All of those things. Okay? Yeah. I'd love to know if you already do something like this, or if you try this, what does it feel like for you? What are some of those safe space things that you discover, or brave space things that you discover that you had no idea helped you feel safe, helped you feel brave? For example, like super crazy, but like the smell of like a beeswax candle, instantly it's both. I feel safe and cozy and like embodied. And for me, embodied is like very empowering, right? So maybe there's something. But yeah, I'd love to hear what those are for you. Let's just make sure. Yeah, I think I got everything. Okay, sending you so much love and stardust. And I'm going to go enjoy some of this rain now.